This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Good morning, everybody. It is week one of your playoffs. We are here this morning. Truck will be here shortly with us, joining us. He's just running a little bit late, but it's week one right now. Everybody, real quick before we get going, if you're joining us, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you haven't already, it helps out a lot. And then we'll start in with all your questions for week one of the playoffs. I know this is a nervous time for us all. We're all fretting over lineup decisions. It is do or die, go home, win or go home. So let's start off with some of the news on some players that are questionable to play this week. Go through some of those right now. Ladd McConkey for the Chargers in the late game. He is listed as questionable. The latest news this morning on him is they are going to test him out in pregame warmups and make a decision on that afterwards. There is optimism that he will be able to play, but they are going to test him out and see. So the good thing for that game, for any of you Ladd McConkey owners, is it is a late game. It is a little bit more even split today. It's 7-5 on the early and late game window. So you should have more late game options between the 3 o'clock or the Sunday night or the Monday night games to pivot away from McConkey if he's ruled out. Real quick, if just my recommendation for everyone is anybody in the late window games or night games, put those guys in your flex spots. Put the noon people in your regular slots so you've got more options to pivot to as far as flex options and position flexibility that way. That's always just a key thing to always make sure you do Sunday morning. So take care of that. And that game, if you've got McConkey in a flex spot, you could obviously pivot to one of the other receivers if they're available, Johnston or Palmer, or a sneaky guy I like this week. You could pivot to in that game even is Stone Smart at the tight end position if you had to, with Will Dissly out. And if McConkey's out, that just leaves him with a more target volume for that game. The other thing we've got news and notes, Bucky Irving, who had really missed practices all week with issues going on in his back and his knee. He is expected to play in that game against the Chargers. So they said there was more precaution trying to hold him out and get him rested up out of the practices. So he's expected to play. If I had to make a decision between the two Buccaneers running backs, I would have White, though, ranked over Bucky Irving just based off of what we saw last week where Bucky started off playing, then he was held out. You never know if you're going to see that again this week. So if I've got those two options, I would go with Rachaad White in that scenario. Tony Pollard is another one that had really missed practices all week. He's had an ankle injury. He's got a great matchup against the Bengals. Right now, he is listed as questionable, but early reports this morning are saying they are expecting him to play. So he looks like he will be playing. He is an early game window game at noon. So the good thing is we will know about Tony Pollard before the kickoff, so if he's for sure playing, but it looks like he is. Josh Downs, who is also listed as questionable. I didn't think really Josh Downs is going to be playing this week, but he is expected to play. Not that it's a great matchup potentially, but he is expected to play. He should avoid Patrick Surtain playing out of the slot. Mostly that's probably going to go to Michael Pittman more than anybody else. If the other one, Breece Hall for the Jets, He is expected to play against the Jags. I don't think there has been no reports so far of limited snap share or anything like that. So if you had picked up Braylon Allen hoping to play him, I would put him on the bench unless you're absolutely stuck. I would go ahead and play Hall unless you've got other options. You know, there could be options like Rico Dowdle I maybe play, but otherwise, because of the matchup so good against the Jags, I would go ahead and stick and play Breece Hall in that matchup. So I think those are some of the bigger injury news. Jacoby Myers on Monday nights listed as questionable. All the reports I've seen indicate that they think he will be fine to play. Still up in the air. If you're in a deep super flex league, Aiden O'Connell is questionable, and so we have no clarity if that's going to be Aiden O'Connell or if it's going to be Desmond Ridder in that game. So I think that is the biggest news and notes right now that I've seen come across this morning. I'm sure there's going to be more that we see come across. So let's get to your questions right now. Starting the Jets or the Commanders this week. Steven, thanks for joining us, Steven. I really like the Commanders defense. This is a defense I was preaching to pick up this week, even preaching to pick up last week. Even before the Carr injury, I was thinking they were going to get a good defense to start this week. Now we've got it's not even Spencer Rattler that's playing; it's Jake Haener playing, starting at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So I really like the Commanders to come on strong, have a good defensive showing in this one. I would expect plenty of sacks with Haener. I would expect there's strong possibility when you've got a quarterback like this who's never started, that always brings in not only turnovers, but the pick six. So I would go with Commanders in this matchup. I think they'd be probably a top 5 defense for me this week. Then we got pick 1 for my flex for PPR. We've got Ladd McConkey, James Cook, Najee Harris, AJ Brown. I'm also thinking with running with Dowdle for my second flex. And there he is, just in time for our second question. So Steven here is pick 1 for my flex for PPR, Ladd McConkey, James Cook, Najee Harris, AJ Brown. I'm also thinking with running Dowdle for my second flex. First, let me just get the easy one out of the way. I think Dowdle is a great start this week. He was on my green light list this week since Cowboys named him the number 1 running back bell cow option. He's been dominating carries, been around 20 carries over his last 3 weeks, over 100 yards rushing the last 2 weeks. This should be a close game, so it gives him plenty of rush opportunities. I don't expect Carolina to get out ahead very big in this game. So yeah, go with Dowdle for that second flex for sure. So he's between McConkey, James Cook, Najee, AJ Brown. What do you got, Tron?
Between McConkey, Cook, AJ Brown, and Najee, I'm gonna go with McConkey. I like McConkey's matchup against Tampa Bay. I expect Justin Herbert to put on a clinic over there against Tampa Bay at home. They need this win. Over-under is 45.5, so quite a bit of points scored there. I like McConkey. He's clearly the number 1 receiver, and he's had some big games. So I would trust him over James Cook, who has a tough matchup against Detroit. Their run defense is really good. Najee is just hard to trust on a weekly basis. And A.J. Brown, A.J. Brown should be the answer here, and he might as well be, but something is just really weird about this Philadelphia Eagles situation and AJ Brown and, making comments about Jalen Hurts and the passing game being, not where it should be. And it's true. Their passing attack is not where it should be. So I don't know. I feel like Pittsburgh can win this game and their defense could shut down the Philadelphia Eagles, who are already struggling in the passing game. So I'd rather trust Justin Herbert, this Chargers offense against Tampa Bay defense that gives up a lot to the wide receivers. So I'm going to go with McConkey, but I wouldn't be mad if you chose to go AJ Brown.
Yeah, so we talked about a little before you came in, Truck. Like, Steven, you're just going to have to watch those pregame reports. So it's a late game, but they're going to test out McConkey in warm-up. So he is not a slam dunk going to play this week. He's going to go through warm-ups with his shoulder, with his knee issue. He is hoping to play, but they have not decided yet. So I think just watch those reports. And if we see any reports, which you should see those, around 2:30 time frame, where either he's ruled out or he may be on a limited snap count or something like that, then I would pivot away. But you'll know the good thing for you is A.J. Brown is also in that late window, so you don't have to make that call yet of starting an early guy in his place or not. So
yeah, so you agree then, McConkey over AJ?
Yeah, part of me was think, oh no, AJ Brown is going to be squeaky wheel, but then we saw it happen Thursday night with Deebo Samuel. We thought the same thing, where the squeaky wheel would be fed plenty of targets, and it didn't happen. I just think Philadelphia is almost similar to Green Bay right now, where they have realized the success for their team is more running and less pass volume. Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback with less pass volume. Same thing with Jordan Love. So that's the thing that worries me. McConkey, if he's playing with no limitations, he is going to be heavily targeted in that game.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that's basically where I'm at too with it. So good on you. All right, Stefan, appreciate it. What's up, Ryan? Good morning to my favorite show. Hey, we appreciate that. Good morning to you as well. Which two to start? A-Chain, Brown, Aaron Jones, Connor. All right, so we'll just unpack this one real quick. A-Chain, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, or Connor. Love Aaron Jones' matchup against the terrible Bears defense currently. I really like James Conner as well, going against New England. Both of those matchups are really, really good. Chase Brown going against Tennessee, not a great matchup. The Tennessee defense is very, very stout. But, Chase Brown does enough in the passing game to really make a difference. And then Devon A-Chain, who has been the steady piece in that passing game as well. So, Shane, what do you think here? I have my answer, and I feel like you know what my answer is.
I think A-Chain is for sure a go. His passing volume in any given week could be 8 catches. I'm not getting away from him. He's utilized around the goal line also, that they're not pulling him down at the goal line. So that's for sure. And I just can't get away from Chase Brown. I don't care about the matchup. Tennessee's tough, but over their last 3 games, they've allowed 126 yards rushing per game. Chase Brown is like A-Chain almost. He's involved in the passing game. He's the only option around the goal line. I just can't get away from the touch volume of those two guys. Connor he's struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks. So they're good options, but for me, it's Brown and A-Chain.
Yeah, and Aaron Jones is dealing with his own fumble issues too.
Yeah.
So, that's tough. But, yeah, I agree. A-Chain is definitely the answer there. And between Chase Brown and James Conner, I would go Conner over Brown, but understand why you would say go Chase Brown, the efficiency and the workload. I was planning on starting Jones in my flex, or I could start McLaurin. I'd start McLaurin in your flex.
Especially if it's PPR league. I think I know what you might be worried about. If this game gets out of hand and then they don't throw the ball, but I think there'll be enough passing volume for Washington to take that lead that Terry gets, some pretty good stats.
Yeah, the spread is still 7.5 for Washington at New Orleans, and that to me looks so juicy. How do you say his name?
Jake Haener.
Jake Haener. Yeah. Come on now. Are we really thinking Jake Haener is going to stay in it with that New Orleans offense against this Washington team? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Like the KSU stocking. Oh, I see it back there.
Yeah, we got Christmas decorations in our KSU Santa. It's Christmas time, so
KSU Santa.
we had a little Christmas decorations here.
All right. Last week it was mentioned to stack a wide receiver with the quarterback. If I start Darnold, should I not start Jones or should I go Goff? Ideally you want to stack wide receivers and quarterbacks, ideally. But if you start Darnold, should I not start Jones? Not necessarily.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine starting them together.
Yeah, I think some people think if I go with the quarterback and I go with the running back, same team, I'm kind of covered that way. Like if they get around the goal line, I'm going to either get a passing touchdown or the rushing touchdown. But
very true.
It just you could end up being like a game where it's all passing or all rushing, and so I don't take that mindset. I just go with the ranked players who I've got ranked higher, and don't worry about that. So I'll let you address the Darnold Goff question. They are literally back to back in my rankings. They're both top 6 guys for me this week. So I'll let you kind of be. I voiced in who I like just by a hair, but I'll see what you say.
Yeah, I'm going Goff. I'm going Goff over Darnold. Higher over under. The over under in this Detroit Buffalo game is 54.5. The Chicago Minnesota game is 43.5. So a sizable difference in what Vegas says about scoring. This game should be a shootout between Buffalo and Detroit. A lot of points scored. Jared Goff is going to need to play at his peak in order to win this game against Buffalo. So I expect Detroit to at least be in the game until the end of the game. And it's going to happen because Goff has a good game. So I would go Goff over Darnold.
There you go, Ryan. Go with Goff. I told him they were so almost even for me. Just go with your gut. And so now you've got your gut, Ryan, and truck. So Goff's the answer.
Absolutely. What's up, Ralph Birup? Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? What do you think they're saying?
Oh my gosh.
I'll let you unpack that.
This is crazy because just what's crazy about this is to think about if we had had this debate before the season starts. Like CJ Stroud was drafted to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. But we talked about him on our show last week where, I think it's been 7 straight games where he has not been over 17 fantasy points. And part of that is like when they get anywhere near the goal line, like Joe Mixon is being so efficient with scoring, and they're taking away a lot of passing touchdowns with his rushing touchdown. I actually am going to go Bryce Young in this choice. The Cowboys are down multiple starters in the secondary, including Trayvon Diggs, who is now out for the year. They're down a couple of people in their safeties. They brought up some guys from the practice squad who honestly are just terrible in coverage wise. So I think Bryce Young can put up 2 passing touchdowns in this game. And I actually think if he's got 2 passing touchdowns with some decent yardage, that could be a higher floor than what CJ Stroud could bring you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go Young over Stroud. It's real close though. It's really close. Bryce Young's been playing good, but statistically not great. That game against Tampa Bay was his best game, but he's only thrown more than 1 passing touchdown once this year. And that was 5 weeks ago when he first took over the job. Secondly took over the job. But either way, yeah, I think you're better off going Bryce Young. I think that game there's going to be a lot of offense played in that game. I feel like both the Dallas offense and Carolina offense, with the defenses being subpar, are going to put up a lot of points. Yeah, and that Houston game against Miami's pass defense is top tier. They're like a top 5 pass defense. So CJ Stroud struggles already, and then put him in a bad matchup against this Miami secondary, and you're asking for trouble.
Miami 3rd fewest fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, top 5 for sure. Feel like this could be Bryce Young breakout game, but it's also win or go home in fantasy football. Yeah. Having your season rely on Bryce Young isn't the spot you want to be in, but hey, with the way he's been playing, the way that teams have been playing, it's got to give you some hope. So,
well, and I look at it was just a couple weeks ago. We thought, CJ Stroud breakout game against Jacksonville, and he put up, I think it was 13 or 14 fantasy points. I think you could get a safer floor with Young.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Excuse me. Start Arizona, Commanders, Jets, or Falcons today. Shane, go ahead and steerhead that defensive question.
So we've got Arizona, who's playing at home against New England. That's a great matchup. You've got the Commanders, who are at New Orleans. That's a great matchup. And you've got Jets at Jacksonville, and then Falcons at Raiders. All decent matchups, really good matchups. To me, it's between the Cardinals and the Commanders. And that for me, I'm going to go Commanders just because of the quarterback matchup. Arizona is at home. That is good. But Drake May can put up some sneaky yardage and not only passing yardage, but rushing yardage. He can be sneaky. I think like over the last 5 weeks, like he's been like one of the top 2 rushing quarterbacks in the league. So for me, it's Commanders based off of that quarterback matchup.
Yeah, I was going to say the Commanders as well. Just Jake Haener. Okay, that's all. That's the only words that need to be said based on this question right here is Jake Haener.
Yeah, and then don't forget about in this matchup, this is a sneaky active person that's active today. We didn't talk about it because it's not really that fantasy relevant. But Marshawn Lattimore is active, is playing. It's a revenge game, so that's just one more component added to that Washington defense.
I mean,
Marshawn
Lattimore.
Yeah.
He is back, baby. All right. So, yeah, Commanders it is. B Cork, what's up, B Cork? Morning. Happy Sunday, week 15, buddy. Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, or Sam Darnold. Choose uno, por favor. I'm going Goff still.
Yeah, I think we've covered. I'd have both of those guys ranked ahead of Kyler. And so, yeah, I think we're on the Goff train.
Yeah, so we're going Goff. Got a lot of faith in him today. Should be a really, really good game. Mooney, Stevenson, or Thielen, PPR. You got to go Thielen, right? Thielen is having an absolute resurgence. Last week against Philadelphia's very, very good secondary, 11 targets, 9 catches, 102 yards. And then the week prior, 10 targets, 8 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Look, last year in the beginning part of the season, I don't know if people remember, but Adam Thielen was a top 5 wide receiver. When Bryce Young was hitting him the ball and the team was kind of finding their rhythm, Adam Thielen was the main person that was making that happen. And he still has it. I mean, doing that against Tampa Bay, sure, it's a good matchup for him to do it. But Philadelphia, putting up those numbers against Philly really gives you some confidence going into Dallas to take on that defense. So I'm going Thielen over Mooney and Stevenson. Shane, what do you think?
I'd say it's more than a Thielen, more than a Thielen. Yes, I like him, like so much to like 21 targets, 17 catches over the last 2 weeks. Dallas, I've talked about it, banged up in the secondary. They've given up the 4th most pass attempts and the 8th most receptions per game to wide receivers. So
yeah,
I just like Thielen. Not only is giving you the high catch volume, he's giving you high yardage volumes. He's had 1 touchdown in the last 2 weeks. So to me, it's Thielen. Mooney would be a close second, but he is kind of like been battling some limited practices back and forth. And I just like the matchup better for Thielen. I think it's higher upside.
Yeah, Mooney got in a full practice session on Friday, so he looks, he looks like he's going to play. Last week, 142 yards. He kind of had his comeback game after 2 bad weeks, but taking on Denver only at 27 yards, the Chargers only 20 yards. 2 very, very good defenses. Yeah. The Raiders, I don't think they're that good of a defense personally. So I like Mooney, but I like Thielen a lot more.
Yep.
All right. Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert this week. M. Dav. What up, M. Dav? Oh, Tua or Herbert? I like Herbert, although Tua has been surprising me lately. I feel like Miami could win this game. I feel like this is a game where it could go either way for me. And if Tua has one of those games where he throws for 350 yards and a couple touchdowns, I mean, we saw what he did last week. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both went for 100 yards. This Houston team hasn't been great lately, going against a Miami tough defense. Like, I don't know. I feel like Tua can make it happen, but I'm still going with Justin Herbert. I love his matchup against Tampa Bay. He's at home, favored. I think Herbert's the better play over Tua.
I like Tua. There's a couple of reasons. One, I don't think we get any rushing stats from Herbert. He has gotten his other ankle now is sprained, and so it's not as bad as what early in the year, but I think it's going to limit his rushing. Tua, the last 3 home games, has had 3 touchdowns in each home game. He's back home. He's against the Texans. Over the last 3 games, they've allowed the 5th most passing yards per game. And then this year, they've allowed the most passing touchdowns overall. So I think Tua, we talked about on our show last week, last 4 weeks, he's been a top 10 quarterback. I just think at home, I want to start all the Dolphins I can possible, starting with Tua.
Yeah, I mean, top 10. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his numbers now, and they're a lot better than I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe Tua is the right play after digging further into it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go Tua. Does McBride finally score a touchdown this week? We've been asking this question for about 5 weeks now in a row. Or should I play Hawkinson? Not sure how the Bears are against tight ends. Well, I'll tell you right now how the Bears are against tight ends. Shane, go ahead and.
But I know and just a clarification, McBride has scored a touchdown this year. It's just been a rushing touchdown. I just I always like to put that in. I know what you're saying, Ryan. I know it's frustrating, but there's not very in this year's tight end landscape. There's just not very many tight ends that give you that high floor that Trey McBride does every single week. Not named Brock Bowers. So I'm never getting away from Trey McBride in any sort of league, in any sort of format. At some point in time, the touchdowns will come.
Yeah, they should. They should, for sure.
But even if they don't, like, you're going to get probably 12 points as your floor. That's that's ahead of the game as a floor play at tight end position.
Yeah. And Bears are kind of middle of the road. They give up quite a bit more yards than most of the NFL, but as far as tight end touchdowns go, only you've given up 3 on the season. So,
yeah, and what we're seeing in Minnesota, we're seeing Jordan Addison get a lot of catches, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yardage. He's taken away more targets from Hawkinson than in what we saw in the past.
Yeah, I think we've officially entered Jordan Addison's breakout.
Yeah.
He's just, previously it was like, hey, touchdown, 40 yards, 50 yards, 30 yards. But now, I mean, what he did last week was insane. And it seems like he's going to be doing this on a regular basis now. So, Ralph, good stuff. Thanks, fellas. No, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr. Okay, look, I understand. We talked about Neighbors quite a bit on the red light, green light. And I know a lot of people are looking at it like, hey, this is a good matchup. Baltimore gives up a lot of points to wide receivers, a lot of yards to wide receivers. Did you see the tweet that came out about the news that broke about the Giants' red zone offense in practice against the air?
Yeah, I did see that.
0 for 17.
0 for 17 or something.
Yeah, that just stuck in my head because I was putting in some bets this morning and I'm looking at it like, man, Neighbors, he should have a good game, but I don't want to trust this Giants offense. I can't. Even against a matchup where he should do good, but I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. But again, Brian Thomas Jr., on the other hand, I mean, do you trust Mac Jones or do you trust Tommy DeVito?
It's like, I mean, which piece of
slop? You're in a tough spot.
Which piece of slop do you want to try to put some lipstick on? That's kind of which
turd smells better.
Yeah, and I think sadly the Mac Jones turd is a little bit better. What I lean, it's yeah.
Oh God.
I know it's not. You're going to worry about the Sauce Gardner matchup because DJ Reed's been ruled out. But also Brian Thomas Jr. has been playing pretty decently well with Mac Jones. I mean, he's been putting up. He's getting highly targeted. He's putting up better yardage than Neighbors has. So yeah, I'm going to lean Brian Thomas Jr. just because of the matchup. And like I said on the show last week, Ravens actually been better against the pass lately. Last 3 games only allowing 165 yards throwing per game. So it's just such a limited floor, ceiling and floor, I think, for Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, just to put your head in a pretzel there, B Cork, I'm going to go Neighbors over BTJ. Just cause.
Yeah,
just cause. Throwing a dart at one of them. And I feel like, on paper, it's the better matchup. We'll see what happens. I know recency bias is swaying that as far as whether it's a good matchup or not, but I'm gonna go Neighbors over BTJ. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Magic, I need Cup to bounce back since I'm on the bye. I got bailed out, but it's still worried. Hey, you're on a bye, man. Don't take this week and just don't set your lineup. Don't look at your lineup.
Yeah.
Don't do none of that. Okay. Don't give yourself frustration and worry about something that has no matter in it, right?
Kick back, enjoy some day drinking today with your bye week. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, do you think that Sauce locks down Brian Thomas Jr. today? It's possible, but I know Shane just spoke on that.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely possible. But I wish I could remember what the stat was. I saw something yesterday about the too high or defenses that the Jets play, and like Brian Thomas has thrived against those defenses. So, I think he'll be okay.
Hopefully. What defenses that could be on waivers that I should try and pick up now for next week? This is Shane's expertise. Why don't you go ahead and spit some knowledge for Ryan?
Boy, I need to look at what the defenses are for next week, that schedule. The bad thing is there's a couple of them, their bad defenses have good matchups. Like, I know you're not going to want to face the Jacksonville, but I think they've got the Raiders and Titans come up. Let me pull up week 17 schedule and we'll come back to that.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to it. What's up, Jackson? Is this Jackson Mac?
Oh, it's Jackson. Yeah.
What's up, Jackson Mac? Happy belated birthday, buddy. Hope you're feeling better. Do you think the Cowboys will sign back Trey Lance or Cooper Rush? I don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. Shane can speak on that a little bit better. If it were me, I wouldn't bring back either one of them. Cooper Rush is a great backup, though. I mean, he's shown in spurts that he can get the job done, although whenever I put my hard-earned money on him, he ends up throwing terrible passes and frustrates the hell out of me. But I wouldn't bring either one of them back, personally. But Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would bring back Trey Lance just for the sole fact that the Cowboys gave up fourth-round draft capital, gave up a fourth-round draft pick. If you give up a fourth-round draft pick, at least keep him as your backup and just bring somebody in to coach and develop him at least.
Why is he not seeing the field, though?
Oh, because Jerry is, has this mindset of Cooper Rush gives the Cowboys the best chance to win games, and that's what we need to do. And I mean, it's just backwards thinking all around. So a couple breaking news items. We got David Njoku. David Njoku is out inactive. So if you've got him as your starting tight end, you're going to need to pivot. Tony Pollard is active. So he is playing. Breece Hall officially active. So.
All right. Tony Pollard's got a great matchup. I was really looking forward to Njoku this week taking on the Charger or the
Chiefs. Did you see how many targets he's gotten over the last 2 weeks? 30 targets in 2 games. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I was salivating, waiting for Njoku to get activated for this game, but unfortunately, that did not happen. So,
real quick, Ryan, let me come back to you on those defenses now for next week.
All right.
I don't know who's available. If the Bills happen to be available, maybe somebody dropped them this week with the matchup versus the Lions. Get them for next week. They've got the Patriots at home in Buffalo. I would like the Falcons at home against the Giants. The Giants cannot put up any points. The Falcons actually has been getting to the quarterback, racking up sacks more than normal. So and then kind of under the radar plays, you've got the Saints on a Monday night home game in Green Bay. The Packers at home at Lambeau on a Monday night game playing the Saints. So could be playing Jake Haener. So I would go Packers as my first option, Bills second option, Falcons third.
All right, take a look, see if they're on the waiver wire, pick them up. Granny, what up, Granny? How you doing? Bo Nix or Kyler Murray? Bo Nix or Kyler Murray? This is a lot closer than the other quarterback questions we've had, but I think I'm going Bo Nix here.
We've got let's see, Nix is at home versus
the Colts.
The Colts, and we've got Kyler at home versus New England. Ooh,
Both
that
good
is
matchups.
close. Both good matchups. Gosh, I would have a slight lean to Kyler, just a slight lean. I know it's not been great. 2 out of his last 3 games, he's been under 17 points. But I both. The thing is about Nix is Nix actually has higher rushing upside. He'll provide, I think, more rushing potential than Kyler does. Kyler doesn't have too many. He's had a couple of games of good rushing, but based on the matchup of New England, I would go with Kyler with that matchup.
Yeah, the real answer is I don't think you can go wrong with either one. So if you want to, this is a typical situation where I would flip a coin, pull it right out of Cole's pocket, and flip a coin for Bo Nix or Kyler Murray, because I think both are in play. I think both have good games. So, pick your poison.
Yep.
Braden Powell, what up, Braden? Start 2, London, Sutton, Addison, Brian Thomas, Aaron Jones, James Conner, or Neighbors. Wow, so you got a slew of good options here. Sutton has been on an absolute tear. He's got the Indianapolis Colts today. He should have a huge game. Jordan Addison is coming off his best game ever, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards. I'm not including Brian Thomas in this, so I'm ruling Brian Thomas out. Aaron Jones is a good matchup. Neighbors, let's rule out Neighbors and Brian Thomas. I like Aaron Jones and I like James Conner, but if you're starting 2, it's between these first 3 for me, between London, Sutton, and Addison. And I'm going to go with Sutton and Addison.
Yeah, that's what I immediately, that was my initial immediate thing was those 2. Like their catch volume, target volume, yardage, it's all been crazy the last couple of weeks. So I agree. And Sutton, Addison.
And Kirk Cousins has been struggling lately. Has he thrown a touchdown pass in the last 5 games?
No, still hasn't.
All right. So what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? It's like, go with Sutton, go with Addison. Don't look back. And best of luck to you. Ryan Dowdle should go bananas this week against the Panthers' poor run defense. Could that impact Lamb points, or should I start Judy? I think you're fine starting Lamb. Sure, Dowdle should go bananas, but that's not going to take away from what CeeDee Lamb is going to do. We saw last game CeeDee Lamb wasn't involved in the first drive extremely. Like he had like 4 targets, 3 catches. But he didn't get targeted much after that until the 3rd or 4th quarter. So I expect, like I said, this game is going to have a lot of offensive prowess in this game. So I think CeeDee Lamb is very much in play against a bad defense, as well as Dowdle. I would love to have both of them on my roster over Judy, who's taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Still a really good defense. Judy gets his always, but I'd be much more comfortable starting Lamb and Dowdle instead of Judy and Dowdle.
Yeah, I just think Lamb, they heavily target him, so you'll get a bunch of reception points leading up to anything down there. So they target him in the red zone. Also, why I'm a little bit nervous on Judy is so that is the only potential bad weather game of the week, really. We've got reports of could be heavy rain at certain times during that game, winds gusting up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. So that's as hot as Judy's been. That always what makes me a little bit nervous also.
Weatherman Shane reporting for duty. Love it. Double down on Arizona defense or dump them.
I don't know if there's very many other options you could get to this week, based off Arizona. If you're talking about the Commanders, I would take them over them. Mm-hmm. Baltimore, if they were dropped, because they've not been a great defense, I would probably start Baltimore over them. But that's probably about the line I would draw. The only 2 that could be available that I would play over them. Yeah,
I agree. Thielen showed up wearing a Moss jersey today. That's awesome. Did he really? He showed up wearing a Randy Moss jersey. If that's the case, he's going for 150 and 2 touchdowns.
I want to know, what's the tie-in? It's just because
he was a Viking.
But that's been a while. It's been a hot minute. It's not like, I don't know. That's just interesting.
You know what? Randy Moss is going through
cancer. The
Yeah, he's
cancer
going through it
diagnosis.
right now.
You're right. That's why. Yep. Good one. Good
Yeah,
call. Yep.
so paying homage to
Yep.
one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game, Randy Moss.
Yep.
Yeah, Thielen's going off today.
Yep.
Mr. Magic, who would you play in the flex next? McCormick, Keenan, D-Hop, or Devonta Smith? I mean, Shane just talked about that could be a bad weather game for D-Hop. So, he's been averaging like 30 yards a game. Gets a touchdown here and there, so he's hard to trust. Keenan Allen should have a good game. I mean, Minnesota's pass defense is not great, and I expect the Chicago Bears to play better, but I've also expected that over the last couple of weeks, and that hasn't worked out for me. So Devonta Smith seems like a good play. I think Devonta Smith has a better game than Keenan Allen or D-Hop, but McCormick taking on Atlanta. McCormick's at home. Mr. McCormick, what do you think about McCormick in that spot?
So Alexander Madison's supposed to be back, but I like that they did come out and say that he's earned to be the number one running back. So it's hard to say. Before last week, I would have said Keenan Allen. And then I don't know, maybe that's just a blip in an off game why we saw a low passing volume. And the 2 touchdowns went to Odunze. I do think the Bears are behind and throwing more, so I'm probably going to lean Allen. I was looking; he went for 986 and 1 touchdown the last time they played the Vikings, so that's positive. So I'd probably lean Keenan first, and then actually probably McCormick second. I'm kind of a little worried that Eagles Steelers game is low scoring. We don't get a very much fireworks from the offensive side of things with both teams.
Yeah, I mean, the over-under is 43.5, so it's a low over-under.
Yeah.
So I think Vegas is saying the same thing. Yeah, Keenan Allen would be my vote. Let's go Keenan. Hopefully that works out for you, bud. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to fire them off. We will be talking about the slate here, going over our own start and sit questions for this week. Shane, do you have any pressing questions on your lineups?
I think I'm going to pull up here because I'm just seeing some of the other stuff come through. I don't think anybody is starting Zane Gonzalez, kicker from Washington, but in case you were, he's been ruled out. They moved on to some other kicker. Kenneth Walker officially out. Sadly, in our Fantasy Roadshow playoff week 1 matchup, I have not gotten a confirmation on Desmond Ridder versus playing or not. So I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to sadly go with Mac Jones in that matchup.
First of all, can we talk about Sleeper? I don't know if anybody out there in the comment section is
that was fun.
Does anybody play fantasy football on Sleeper? If you do, if you saw, Sleeper had a fun troll. They took Desmond Ritter's projection for the week and made it negative. What was it? 37 points.
Negative 37 points for like a couple of days.
Points. So then I saw somebody on Twitter went through the code and figured out why he was projected for negative 37, and it was because of 22 lost fumbles. That's what they put in there to make him negative 37 points. Hilarious, kind of a troll. Yeah. Not a big deal though, but yeah, that just made me think of that.
That was funny.
My opponent has B Robinson. So is this Brian Robinson Jr. or Bijan Robinson? I'm assuming Bijan, but could be
probably Bijan because they're playing the Raiders, so that makes sense. It's Bijan.
Oh, and Max is out for the Raiders. Yep. I need to finish the question before I come to an assumption. I think Robinson goes off today.
Yeah,
he's been really good lately.
Yeah,
have you seen his numbers?
It's been ridiculous. Like
top 5 week in and week out at the running back position.
Yeah. I mean, I think he would probably be behind Derrick Henry. He'd be my second ranked running back of the week. But yeah, his games each week have been massive. He scored, I think I'm looking here, 4 touchdowns in his last 4 weeks. High receiving volume, like 6, 4, 3, 3. I mean, he's putting up receptions and yards. So yeah, it's not the unfortunately, that is not a great matchup for you to have to face against Bijan this week.
Yeah. All right, let's see. How will JT do? Jonathan Taylor taking on Denver.
I'm worried.
Shane,
I've been
he
spouting
was
out
on your
about
red light
him.
list,
Yeah,
right?
I've been spouting off about him.
You went off on the red light, green light episode saying, hey, don't start Jonathan Taylor and you should start Rico Dowdle instead.
Yeah,
so
sometimes we got to
give him your breakdown.
We got to remove the name from the jersey and like where we drafted guys. Like, and there's two guys, and you mentioned the other guy. There's two guys that fits this bill. Like one is Taylor, the other is DK Metcalf. It's just we got to remove we got to take our blinders off. Like eight or fewer fantasy points in 3 out of his last 5 games. The yardage has not been there. He doesn't get the receptions with Richardson. Down at the goal line, I would say it's less than a 50% chance he's going to get a goal line carry. I think it's going to be more of a chance that Richardson takes it. So there's that aspect. But then Denver is actually a pretty tough defense, like only allowing 3.3 yards per carry and 65 yards a game over their last 3. So it's just a lot of things stacking up against Taylor this week.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's hard to go against Jonathan Taylor because of how good of a running back he is, but you look at the trends, you look at what he's done previously, and it just doesn't look good. Combining that with a bad matchup against Denver, I'm not excited for Jonathan Taylor today.
Yeah.
Carlos is God. Amen. What's going on, brother? Morning, folks. I currently have Sutton and Ladd. Hopefully he plays. Starting for today, I have McLaurin, Jacoby, DJ Moore, Ridley, and Judy on my bench. What do you guys think? First of all, you got a good bench there, pal.
Good on you.
As
your Chuck would say,
your
good
options.
On you.
Good on you, right? That is, you got some great options there. DJ Moore should have a great game against Minnesota's bad pass defense. I expect him to do well. Even Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee against Cincinnati. Calvin Ridley should have a big game. Yeah. Jerry Judy, I'll rule out going against Kansas City. And McLaurin, I mean, New Orleans Saints have, I think, the 26th ranked pass defense. And, I mean, Jacoby Myers, it's hard to go against Jacoby Myers, too. But I'm not going to trust Jacoby Myers with Aiden O'Connell throwing the ball. Is it Aiden O'Connell or is it Desmond Ridder? We don't know.
We don't know yet. It could be one of them, yeah.
So I'm going to rule out Jacoby. I'm ruling out Judy. I love McLaurin, love DJ Moore, love Ridley, but I like Sutton and Ladd over those guys. So take a look. Luckily, you have DJ Moore playing on Monday Night Football. So if Ladd doesn't play, you can still plug in DJ Moore into that slot, and I think you'd be perfectly fine. Ridley plays in the morning or in the afternoon or the 12 o'clock games.
12 o'clock.
And McLaurin plays in the 12 o'clock games as well. So those, unfortunate, would be out of the question. Do you think he should go with McLaurin or Ridley over Ladd and DJ Moore?
So I think in this situation, I do like Ladd, but in this situation, he's got enough strong options to not even worry about McConkey. Like, even if McConkey plays, he's not going to be 100%. When somebody says they got to put him through pregame warmups, to me, he's not going to be 100%. Now, if you didn't have great options, it'd be worth the wait. But I think, like, I would have McLaurin ranked over DJ Moore. So I would at least plug in either McLaurin or DJ Moore. And I'm probably going to say McLaurin based off of the matchup. So I think I just ride with Sutton and McLaurin in that situation. If for some reason you really want to wait, then like I said, wait and see what we see on the reports. You can then I would plug in DJ Moore. Out of those options, I'd plug in DJ Moore over Jacoby if you wanted to around 3 o'clock or right before 3 o'clock. DJ Moore, last time he faced the Vikings, 23 fantasy points. So
yeah, and McLaurin has those big play abilities. Like,
yeah, he does.
I mean, Washington could go up early and just run it out. That's very possible. I mean, we've seen them score on their first 3 drives plenty of times. If they go up 21-0 early on in the second quarter, they're not going to be throwing much, you know. Yeah. And Brian Robinson could break those for touchdowns. You never know. So you are dealing with that type of risk when playing in a game that with this, with this spread and taking on a team with a quarterback that is probably going to be the worst quarterback on the slate today.
But I think it could be like the game before the bye week for Washington. They went up big on Tennessee, and McLaurin still ended up with 20 fantasy points in the process.
Very true.
So.
Yeah, I mean, McLaurin's going to be involved in the offense. If the offense scores 21 points, probably one of those are going to be McLaurin.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I think you're fine going McLaurin and Sutton, and I wouldn't be mad at you if you went Ladd, and then at the last second, if he's out, go DJ Moore. I think those are good options for you. Javonte or Warren, rest of season.
Oh my God. It's so tough for me. I cannot, I can't even pretend to project what's going to go on week to week in the Denver backfield. I honestly cannot tell you week to week. Like before the bye week, we saw Jaleel McLaughlin get 14 rush attempts. I don't know. It could come out one week and McLaughlin gets it and he gets the high touch volume, or we see like what Javonte Williams did against the Saints that week when he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns. I have no idea. Ward is getting like a steady, I think 12 touches, 13 touches a game.
But even Najee's being active in the passing game too.
Yeah.
So it's like it was like Jaylen Warren is the passing down back, and he's going to catch the balls and then, get his share of the carries as well. But it looks like a true 50-50 split right now. But a true 50-50 split is better than an unknown split with Javonte.
It's even worse for Javonte. I just was looking. Honestly, I thought I didn't know it was this bad. So the last 3 games, there's rush attempts.
All right, what do you got?
4 rushes, 8 rushes, 9 rushes, 1 rush. So he's gone 4 straight weeks with not even reaching double-digit rush attempts. So
my God.
Based on those 4 weeks, I would bet Jaylen Warren actually has more rush attempts. So I'm gonna lean Warren.
Let's take a look. Jaylen Warren rushing attempts 4 weeks, right? 9 carries. 9 carries, 11 carries, 3 carries, 9 carries.
Yeah, so that's more.
Not much more, but definitely more.
It is more, yeah. So.
Sure. Yeah, numbers don't lie. It is more. I think we agree. Warren rest of the season. Could teams start sitting players next week to reserve for the playoffs? If so, any backups to try to grab to block my opponents? It's hard to say. Next week, I don't think so.
No, it's too early.
With it being, you're going to see that week 17 and week 18. But with a lot still up for grabs as far as the playoffs go, I don't see them doing it. Like I see a lot of people talking about Detroit. Are they going to sit their players? I don't think so. As good as Minnesota's playing, week 18, it's Minnesota against Detroit. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be for the division, and they're going to be playing. So,
Eagles, not only that, but they're battling the Eagles for the number 1 seed. I mean, it's only one team that gets a bye, so they are fighting.
And they want that bye.
Yeah, they want the bye. They want to play at home, so I think they'll be playing all the way through week 18. Same thing on the AFC. It's going to be Buffalo and Kansas City battling for the number 1 seed. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of sits unless it's teams that are out of the playoffs and don't want to play starters the last week or so.
Yeah, agreed. How's the best balls looking? Hey, the best balls are looking good, buddy. B Cork is a little update. Coles and I are actually planning on recording a best ball update going into the playoffs. We were talking about doing it the episode this week, but possibly next week. And just kind of an update. I don't want to give away too much information. We are at about 20% advance rate on our teams. I think we drafted a little over 500 teams in the off season, so we have right around 100 across all the different contests. I think there's like 8 or 9 contests that we have the playoffs in. So we'll see what happens. It's anybody's game now that we're in the playoffs. But we got to have a good week this week to advance any of those teams. So as long as, even 20% of what we have, if we have 20 teams go into the next round of the playoffs, I'll be happy. It's just a lotto play at this time because you really don't know who's going to go off and who's going to do well. So best ball is exciting. If you guys don't know what best ball is, look into it. It's a lot of fun. You don't got to manage the team at all year round. So, but yeah, best ball is looking good, buddy. Looking good. I went 2 for 10. Yeah, 20%.
I just want to say
you went 20%, pal.
Don't say you went 2 for 10. Just say I have a 20% advance rate.
That's it, man. And that's really like I've looked into this. Coles and I were doing a lot of research. The best ball players, you're shooting for 20%. You're not going to advance all your teams. It's just unrealistic. There's way too much turnover. There's way too many injuries. Too much stuff happens throughout the season to expect anything more than 20%. If you go over 20%, hey, good on you. You had a good season and you dodged the injury bug. But I mean, Coles and I went probably 6 or 7 weeks while all those guys were getting injured, and we just kept talking to each other like, "Hey, man, we are just dodging these bullets left and right because we were doing okay." But yeah, things are looking good. I don't want to get too excited. There's a lot of money up for grabs. Best Ball Mania, you can win $1.5 million to first place. Other contests, you win, $500,000. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. But we are in the running. Okay. We are in the running. And I'm sure during that episode, we'll highlight some of our best teams and go through the rosters and point out some holes that we have. Coles was looking at it already. And there's a couple of our best teams, our highest scoring teams. He's looking at it like, you're not going to be happy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's the whole season. So they take your season long points. Right. So good luck, my boy. Thank you. And good luck to you on your 20% advance rate.
All right. I'm going to real quick because I don't want to forget this. This came through on our Twitter account lineup question from Ape Up, Ape Down, at A1 Butter Sauce. Give you a shout out there on the old Twitter. PPR need to start 3 out of 4 of these guys. He's got Mike Evans. He's got DJ Moore. He's got JSN. He's got Jacoby Myers. So 4 pretty good guys.
Mike Evans, DJ Moore,
JSN, and Jacoby Myers.
Did you know you saw the tweet about Mike Evans and what he needs on a weekly basis in order to hit his 1,000?
And they are actively monitoring it. Baker is, yep.
Yes, but here's the thing. They are playing. Who are they playing today? Not a great matchup.
Chargers.
The Chargers. Okay,
yep.
So tough matchup.
Yep.
Sure, he can force it. Mike Evans is a good receiver, and he can get it done. I expect him to put up some yards today, even against a tough matchup. But I find that interesting, right? He needs to average. Needs to average 120. I think it is over the next couple of weeks. So, what were the other guys you said? Mike Evans, DJ Moore,
JSN, Jacoby Myers.
I mean, I like GSN or GSN. Yeah. I'm looking at Green Bay. I like GSN. I'm going to say no on Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
For me, it's between JSN and Mike Evans. And it's pick 2 or pick 1?
Pick 3.
Oh, pick 3. Okay.
Yeah,
well, then
3
it's
out of 4.
Mike Evans, JSN, and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Yeah.
I
think so also. I think also it's Ape Up, Ape Down. Like, I think he's going to play, but Jacoby Myers is listed as questionable. They have not officially said he has an ankle injury, but I think the first 3 are the way to go.
Yep. Thank you for everything. Oh, Ryan, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you joining in every week and asking your questions. That's what we're here for. We appreciate it. Thanks, folks. I also do have Barkley, Chuba Hubbard, and James Conner flex starting over JT and Pollard. I feel good about it. And yes, it's an 8-man PPR league. Hey, I'm in an 8-man PPR league too. So
do you know what's crazy is sometimes like people like to put down 8-man leagues, but 8-man leagues can be difficult on week-to-week basis on their own because you a lot of times have so many good players. The decision process of who to start is not easy. Like it's not as easy. It's like, okay, well, I've got to start so-and-so. I don't have very many options. In an 8-man league, you have great options on the bench.
Yeah, I'm in an 8-man league that I run. 2 quarterbacks in your starting roster right here. 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers, and 2 flex with 1 tight end. So it's a dynasty league, a lot of options. Yeah. And what I like about it is every team is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the competition. Any week, any given team could win. So there's much less, what's the word I'm looking for?
There's more even,
less parallel or I don't know the word I'm looking for. I'm losing it. But it's
Carlos, I think you have the right plays, you never bench Barkley, obviously. Hubbard's got a great matchup against the Cowboys. Connor's got a good matchup against the Patriots. JT has been what we talked about. And then Pollard, like, yeah, he's got a good matchup, but there's a little bit of uncertainty. He didn't have a practice all week. So I think you're right on who you got started based off of matchups and injury situations.
Yeah, I mean, if Pollard was healthy, I'd rather start Pollard over Connor, but
Yeah.
Not getting a single full practice in is very worrisome. So,
Yeah.
All right, I'm going over my rosters real quick. I don't think I have too many questions. Most of my stuff is pretty much set in stone. Well, here you go, Shane. I got Tank Dell in my starting spot with Isaiah Pacheco. Those are same league I'm talking about. So these are my two flex spots. It's in the PPR. Tank Dell and Isaiah Pacheco. On my bench, I have DeAndre Hopkins, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Smith. Would you consider starting any one of those, or even a Jake Ferguson, any one of those over Isaiah Pacheco or Tank Dell?
I would start Harrison Jr. over Tank Dell. I cannot trust Tank Dell.
And you can trust Harrison Jr.?
I would rather trust him. He even like, in the last 3 weeks, he's had better games than Tank Dell.
I mean, 8 targets last week, 12 targets the week before, although he isn't catching a lot of those targets. Yeah, I mean, targets are there.
But I like Pacheco. Like, I was a little concerned about Pacheco, but now that I'm seeing if the weather reports hold true, like I could see Kansas City leaning on the run on more, and Pacheco maybe getting more carries now that he's in his 3rd week back. So if I'm bitching anybody, I think Dell. I just don't want. I was going to look and see what Dell has done, but I feel like he's been in single digits for how many weeks now? I would guess, but I don't know when the last time.
It hasn't been great.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, in my league. I have a bit of a inflated league. We have a 0.25 for every first down as well.
Oh yeah, a little different.
So
okay.
It's a little bit of a boost, but still, I mean, the last week 8, 13 points, 21 points, 9 points, 10 points, 10 points, and 3 last week. Last week was his big dud, but I mean, it hasn't been great. Tank Dell's been very underwhelming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you think I should go?
I like Harrison over Dell.
Okay. All righty. Well, then that there does it for that one. Are we in the we are in the playoffs in the FBG Bowl?
We are, and we don't have the
what
best
is going on here?
I mean, I don't like what we have to start in some of our positions, but honestly, there's no better options. Like we have to start.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, Sincere McCormick, David or Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin. I love those guys. Chase, McLaurin. If they score 40 points each, we're going to be in a good spot, Shane.
Yes, we need a big win.
But then we have Nick Westbrook-Akine. Trey McBride is great. DJ Moore should be good.
Great.
Keon Coleman, hopefully. I don't hate this team.
It's not bad. I just the Westbrook-Akine and Keon Coleman is what worries me. You know, I don't know what to expect mostly from Keon Coleman in his first game back. He's got Shakir there. He's got Amari Cooper. You know.
And are we sure we want to start Baker Mayfield over Caleb Williams?
Oh man.
I'm just saying, it's worth a question there, Shane.
I know.
Baker Mayfield against the Chargers or Caleb Williams against Minnesota.
I do. I think I do. It's hard for me. I don't want to have a Caleb Williams game like last week when he was on the road again.
On the road again.
I'd go Baker. I'm
Caleb
Baker.
just struggles on the road again.
See, look.
B Cork, did Genty get robbed of a Heisman? Absolutely, dude.
He absolutely did not beat Cork.
What, Shane? Are you really on the side that Travis Hunter deserved the Heisman over Ashton Genty?
Yes.
Stop it.
Jax O'Mac and I had this argument last night, it's a continuation.
That is nonsense. That is tomfoolery. Ashton Genty was the better player. Okay, I get it. He played 2 sides of the ball. He played offense and defense. Cool. Hey, the guy's got endurance. He's a good football player. He's very athletic. But what Ashton Genty was doing hasn't been done in a long time. He didn't break any records, and I feel like that's where Ashton Genty kind of didn't. If he would have broke Barry Sanders' records, he would have won it for sure, in my opinion. But he fell short, and that might be why. But I still think he should have won it. I mean, the Heisman goes to the best player, and I feel like that was Ashton Genty. I don't think Travis Hunter, he wasn't fantastic on either side of the ball.
I just think he is the number one cornerback in the nation. He didn't get thrown at a lot. And I think he was probably the number 3 or 4 best wide receiver in the country.
The numbers say differently.
I think based off of he's not getting the targets he's a normal receiver, but like I just think from a skill standpoint side of things.
Yeah, he looks like a top 5 receiver.
And we just never seen anybody play every snap of the game practically.
I just don't think that deserves to win the Heisman.
If Charles Woodson can win a Heisman, and he didn't do half of what he did, then he can win the Heisman. I mean, Woodson way back when won just playing quarterback and returned a couple punts for touchdowns.
Yeah, but he was electric.
If he can win a Heisman that way, then I don't
know. To also top things off, I have Jaden Daniels starting over Jalen Hurts.
Hey, 100%. I like that.
I think you're onto something there, Carlos.
Yeah,
I think you are.
Pass volume so low for Hurts.
Dylan Fink, what up, Fink? What you think this week? Full PPR, lost K9 this week. That's a bummer.
He's out.
Need upside as I'm down against a good team. Need 1 flex, 1 tight end out of the below. Wide receivers are J-Mo, Devontae Smith. Tight ends are Ertz. Got Terry starting already, so he's questioning whether to double up on the Ertz and Terry McLaurin. Schultz or Muth. Thanks in advance. So you need 1 flex and 1 tight end, or you could go 2 tight ends because 1 in your flex. But I'm going with Jameson Williams here, and that is my answer for the flex. As far as the tight end goes, I'm fine still going Ertz, even though you have McLaurin. I think this is a very, very active game for this Commanders team, which should score a lot of points. And Ertz is a very big factor in the passing game. So I would trust Ertz over Schultz and Muth personally. So my answer is J-Mo and Ertz. Shane, what do you say?
Yeah, I like Jameson Williams. We talked about him on the Green Light Show. Like a matchup against Buffalo, just gave up over 200 receiving yards to the Rams last week. But like Jameson Williams is like getting a good amount of targets, like 7 or more targets in 3 straight games. That's pretty good. As far as the matchup, I think I was going to look it up. I think I would also lean Ertz. Like he's been pretty steady. I like Freiermuth because with no George Pickens, he could be getting decent target volume. But Philadelphia, I was just looking 8th best against tight ends this year as far as fantasy. So I'd probably lean Ertz, but it's close with Freiermuth. But I think it's Jameson Williams for sure in the other one.
All right, Shane, I got a question for you here in the Fantasy Roadshow Dynasty League, which my team thankfully got
snuck
some luck.
In.
Got some luck, snuck in the playoffs. And on top of that, I needed Breece Hall and Isaac Ruendo to be active this week, because if they were both not active this week, I would be in some serious trouble. They are both playing this week. Okay. For my flex, I have Hunter Henry in my flex right now. I'm starting Zach Ertz in my tight end spot. I also have Rashad Bateman on the bench. Do I take a chance and start Rashad Bateman against the Giants defense? Rashad Bateman has those big plays. I mean, that offense, the offensive weapons are very inconsistent and hard to gauge, but would you trust Bateman over Hunter Henry or Zach Ertz?
Maybe Ertz. I feel like I would start Hunter Henry over Hurts for sure.
Over
Ertz, because I think New England's trailing more. Hunter will probably get a good pass volume in that game with their trailing. Mm-hmm. So I think I was going to look and see what we've seen from Bateman. Ooh, not been too great. Last week against the Eagles, 0 catches, targets.
Yeah, under 6 points in 3 of the last 5 games.
And I think
Under-
Ertz has a decent floor, right? Like his points has been pretty decent.
Yeah, Ertz has been active.
Yeah, 12 points, 15 points, 18 points. I'd keep with the tight ends, which
All right.
we rarely start two tight ends, but I think in this situation, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Let's see here. Do I have any other questions before we log off? If you guys have any other questions, feel free to fire them off. We'll be live for another 5 minutes or so. All right. I don't think we have any questions here.
I've got one for you. I forgot about this league. I've got a running back spot.
What do you got?
I've got right now I have Zach Charbonnet in and Chuba Hubbard in. Would you bench either one of those guys for James Cook or Breece Hall?
You have Chuba Hubbard
and Zach Charbonnet starting.
And Zach Charbonnet starting over Breece Hall and James Cook.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Shane. Shane, what are you doing?
Well, Zach Charbonnet, like his points with no Kenneth Walker are like 24 points and 30 points the two games he's played without him.
Yeah, I mean, small sample size though.
Yeah, it is
small sample size. I mean, even in matchups where I don't think James Cook has a good game, in a tough matchup, he still ends up scoring a couple touchdowns. So like James Cook has the ability to overcome a bad matchup against Detroit. That game is the highest over under at 54.5. A lot of points scored in that game. The chances that James Cook finds the end zone, it's a pretty good chance, in my opinion. But I mean, there's risk involved in that. I think Charbonnet, there's less risk, and Chuba Hubbard, there's less risk. But I mean,
what's crazy is this Ty Johnson involvement in the passing game. Like there's no receiving work for him anymore. It's crazy. Like he's the most explosive guy out of those. I don't know why they don't give him more receive. Why they're putting in Ty Johnson all the time.
Yeah, and is with Breece Hall, you're just worried because he wasn't healthy all week?
Yeah, just not. It's based off of the other options. Yeah, because he hasn't practiced all week. You know,
I mean, the Jets team it's hard to trust. The Jets team deals with their struggles, but going against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think it's Badji. The one I can't decide about is putting in James Cook for one of those guys. Honestly.
Yeah, I think you're fine with Charbonnet and Chuba, but it's just that would be hard for me to not play James Cook and
I know
both
in
of
a
them.
High scoring game.
You have a good problem there, bud. Last question from Carlos is God. Last question, folks. Any recommendations on kickers and defense? I have Washington defense and Cameron Dicker starting. I'm going to pretend this question wasn't even asked, and Shane, you can go ahead and answer it. I'm going to keep it.
No, Cameron Dicker is your play. Like I preach every week. We are now in December, so take kickers in good weather opportunities. So Dicker is in great weather in a game where it probably is a close game, going to lend itself to field goals. Another thing I like about Dicker is Chargers and Harbaugh are kind of conservative. So even like on short 4th down and 3, they usually go for the field goal instead of trying to go for it. So stick with Dicker, stick with Washington. We talked about Washington's matchup with Jake Haener. You're good to go.
All right. Well, there you have it. Paul Nenning, what up? Paulie Nenning, start Pacheco or James Cook? Well, we were just talking about James Cook. But Pacheco going against that tough Cleveland front.
Yeah.
I think I'm going James Cook in this question.
Yeah, it's Cook. I mean, yeah, they're both tough, but I mean, Cleveland has been better. Like I stated earlier, like only allowing a little over 3 yards a carry to running backs. Even in a tougher matchup, I think this explosive high scoring game, there's a higher ceiling for Cook. So
yeah. What up, Dom? Dominic Vo. What up, Dom? Full PPR, DJ Moore versus Vikings or Judy versus Chiefs. I'm going DJ Moore versus Vikings, but I wouldn't be mad if you went Judy versus Chiefs with how productive he's been. You're talking about a good matchup versus a bad matchup. DJ Moore has a really good matchup for wide receivers. Judy has a bad matchup for wide receivers. So it's much more of an even split. If they both had a good matchup, the answer is Judy. but because the scales are tipping more in an even split, I'm going to go DJ Moore with a good matchup over Judy against the Chiefs.
He put up 23 points last time against Vikings. Also, I mentioned earlier, Dominic, that's the only potential bad weather game of the week. Could be heavy rains at some point during that game. So we saw what that did to the 49ers-Rams game Thursday night in the first half.
Yeah. B Cork wants to know who's winning the college football playoffs. You know, it's hard. It's hard to go away from Oregon. Oregon is such a good team.
But their matchup in the second round is potentially the toughest of any team, right?
But I think they're good enough to overcome that. I think they can win every game coming up. I would be picking Oregon, and I'm an Ohio State fan. Love Ohio State, but they are completely falling apart, and they should be firing Ryan Day, but apparently they don't want to fire Ryan Day even after the season. So we'll see how that works out.
I think I don't know what the status is of quarterback, but I know their path is easier. I would like to know the status of the quarterbacks, but I think Georgia could.
Oh, he's not playing.
Okay, he's for sure got to be out. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out for the entire playoffs.
All right. And I don't know enough about their backup quarterback situation. I just know the path there is easier.
Did you watch him?
No.
You didn't watch them playing that game?
That's the backup? No.
Oh, he looked good.
Okay.
He looked really good.
Well, the path is a lot easier.
He's a 5-star recruit out of high school, and the guy, he was running tough, making good throws. He came in, and after that entire first half of the game, that Georgia team couldn't do much at all. And then he comes in, they immediately march down the field and score a touchdown. And he had a big play. He did get rocked. That hit where it knocked his helmet off. His name was Stockton. Yes, he can pass that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I like Georgia's path to get to the finals. It's a lot easier than Oregon, so I'm going to lean Dogs.
Go Dogs. Yeah, I like Stockton, and I like this Georgia team. I don't think they can win it all with him. If they do, hey, hats off to you. Good on you. But okay, hold on one second. I just had a all right. Well, I think that about does it. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for everything. Shane, thank you. And you guys know what to do. Buckle up, everybody.